Hello, everyone. My name is Mia Taylor Clark, and I'm a student at Hamlin University. Today, we're going to discuss my capstone. My capstone is about embedding a scientific literacy into the intermediate elementary classroom in schools with high underperforming groups. We're going to talk about the guiding question that enabled me to begin this capstone. The question is, how can elementary teachers embed scientific literacy in the intermediate classroom in schools with high underperforming groups? So to begin with, the reason that I chose this question is because we have a problem of education inequality in minorities. As you can see in the table, this is a table showing the proficiency rate of science MCA scores in the years of 2014 all the way to 2017. Here you can see that all students average around a 53% between 2014 and 2017 and increased slightly. Black and African American students are hovering around 22% with a mean average of 22.25%. Hispanic and Latinos are averaging around 20 to 30%. And American Indians are around 25 to 27%. This is significantly less than the white students that are around 61%. This educational inequality has caused me to investigate how can educators embed a science curriculum, a scientific literacy into the science curriculum that is transitioning to the 2019 standards in the next few years. Because of the significant gap of Black and African American students, I decided to investigate what are the true causes of this disadvantage or underachievement. So I investigated our charter school in St. Paul, and as you can see here in this data, that the science achievement in blue shows that the achievement results in the science MCAs are around 40 to 50%. It's the lowest scoring subject of all three subjects. So I wanted to use this also as a reasoning to why is it, or trying to figure out what can educators do to improve scores in Minnesota. So I'm going to discuss my research review. The causes of underachievement stated by Banerjee in 2016 are lower family socioeconomic status, student mobility and immigration status, environmental support in school, and also neuropsychological factors. So Banerjee stated in 2016 that educational disadvantage starts in the womb. The factors that contribute to performance deprivation are all of these factors that I just discussed. These factors lead to two common features: lack of positive attitude towards school and learning and less supportive environments. So lower socioeconomic status can lead to behavior problems, various levels of aggression, and it's hard for teachers to manage that within the classroom. And that also is a reason for underachievement. Also, families don't have access or are not able to employ good childhood strategies when children are younger, to practice that in their younger years. So they're not prepared and become illiterate later on. And Payne in 2003 found, even though the income of the individual may rise significantly, many patterns of thought, social interaction, cognitive strategies, and so remain with individuals. So even though their income may increase later in life, they are still having the same kind of thought patterns. And this is because this is one of the reasons why they're underachieving. Student mobility and immigration status has a huge reasoning for the underachievement. So students come in the middle of the year, they're not given a science placement test or any kind of placement test, and they're not given a specific plan of how they can remediate their learning. Immigration status also, so a lot of times families come from other countries, their primary focus is not on the child's education, so they're trying to just basically put food on the table. So that's another reason for underachieving. So they're not primarily focused on their child and the achievement levels of their child. Next, I want to talk about environmental support at school. So a lot of times underachieving schools, they do not have, usually they have more inexperienced teachers, and teachers have a negative expectation, and they have weak instructional quality that also lead to lower test scores. The teachers stated by Griff and Hootman in 2010, teachers are not giving clear instructions, not involving students during lessons, and that affects significantly achievement because students are not sure what to do. And then I want to talk about neuropsychological factors. So this can be that they're not getting the proper nourishment, they're not eating proper vegetables, and they're not getting the necessary breakfast and lunch. So that also can lead to underachievement. So this began my thinking of, in order for us to understand an embedded science curriculum, we need to know what is scientific literacy. So scientific literacy is the knowledge and understanding of scientific concepts and processes required for personal decision-making, participation in civic and cultural affairs, and economic productivity. So 90% of our society is actually technically scientific illiterate, which means that even more students are people coming from underprivileged backgrounds have an even higher rate of underachievement. So in order for educators to embed scientific literacy in the elementary classroom, we need to understand the practices and strategies in order to increase achievement to embed scientific literacy. So inquiry is when students are making observations, posing questions, examining sources, reviewing what is known, planning investigations, gathering, analyzing data, proposing predictions and explanations, and communicating results. So inquiry is necessary to increase scientific achievement. And Douglas in 2006 strategies are collaboration activities involving talking and writing. So these are strategies that are also known by doing studies in scientific literacy and achievement. So collaboration activities involving talking and writing, science notebook strategies and thinking strategies, and also firsthand engagement versus knowledge through print. So collaboration activities involving talking and writing could involve something where the teacher is giving a prompt, a writing prompt, or a question about science, and students are asked to summarize and write about it. Science notebook strategies are very similar. They're giving different thinking strategies that are correlated with comprehension strategies and different science literacy strategies, and they're asked to do writing activities with it. And also firsthand engagement with science concepts versus print are also known to increase achievement. So also in my research review, I discussed how to promote scientific literacy, and there was some instructional units that were used. And these instructional units included booklets, science supplies, and teacher guides. They correlated with state standards and all of the subjects. They included the home language and culture and teacher's guide and student booklets. According to a study by Lee et al. In 2005, all of these, that's the unit that incorporated all of these things, increased achievement. Also, teacher classroom practice, such as building backroom knowledge, summarizing their learnings in whole group, small group, and individual readings. So incorporating these types of practices inside the classroom is known to increase achievement. So let's discuss the project. So after doing my research review, I decided that the way that I wanted to set up this project was similar to how I had been teaching in my classroom. So at the school, we use Marzano levels and Marzano framework, and also the Pearson Interactive Science 2016 program. So I know I wanted to embed the Pearson curriculum, a framework of K-12 education, also the framework that Pearson uses, which is the COUT model, the Sheltered Instruction Observation Protocol model, all of those things and I wanted to embed all of those into my scientific literacy curriculum. Also, an important thing to note is that the 2009 science standards are still being used, and we are transitioning to the 2019 standards in the next 3 to 4 years. So I definitely wanted to incorporate the current standards with my curriculum since we are not yet transitioned to the new standards. The question is, why did I decide to use these frameworks into my curriculum to increase scientific literacy? Well, I decided to use these frameworks because Marzano's framework is known to increase science achievement or academic achievement in general. And also the CEP model, like I stated, was part of the Pearson Interactive Science Program that's known to increase achievement in diverse learners. And both curriculums had parts of the literacy or the literature review, had components of literature review that I wanted to highlight into the curriculum. So the curriculum unit is designed to be implemented in 60, 90-minute time intervals and in a variety of settings, including the creative learning system, Smart Lab, and the unit overview, it's aligned to the grade 5 science, Minnesota science standards. It uses the lessons, state the objectives. They also include the cross-cutting science concepts and science and engineering practices. The lesson background includes misconceptions, interactive activities, group configurations and compositions, key academic vocabulary, and ideas for academic interactions. Also, it clearly states the motivation, presentation, practice, application, and review and assessment, which is part of the CEP model. So basically, that's how each lesson is started, and it has the Minnesota State Standards, again, building background knowledge, the cross-cutting concept, and discusses the lesson preparation, language objectives, which is all components of the literature review. So the standards that we're focused on in this curriculum unit were 2 standards, 5411 and 5441 life science standards. Standard 5411 is living things are diverse with many different characteristics that enable them to grow, reproduce, and survive. And standard 5441, which is humans change environments in ways that can either be beneficial or harmful to themselves and other organisms. So these 2 standards I used to create my curriculum unit. So the development of this curriculum took approximately 2 years. It started in July of 2019, and it's ending in August of 2021. The formative assessment has not yet been developed because the MCA and for the 2019 standards is still being developed, but it is expected by 2025 that the formative assessment for this curriculum is to be developed. The curriculum unit is designed to be taught in 8 50-minute blocks over the span of 4 weeks. Science will be alternated with social studies and will be taught 2 times a week. The curriculum will be in the STEAM lab, in the classroom, and it takes about 3.5 to 5 weeks. The assessment to assess the effectiveness of this project was using a Likert scale. So the responses were either between strongly disagree and strongly agree, and educators have to rate the effectiveness of this curriculum by looking at and considering questions or statements like the curriculum unit provides opportunities for student-centered learning, inquiry-based learning, and hands-on learning. So in my reflection, I want to talk about the major learnings and application to the profession. So when we discuss the major learnings of this project, there's significant things that it's important that we consider how this project can be implemented in other schools, because not everybody is using the Pearson curriculum. Everyone is using the Marzano levels of framework. However, this unit curriculum can be used in other schools because there's components of the CEP model and the frameworks that can be used in any curriculum that your school is deciding to use. Another learning for this project is the importance of hands-on learning and firsthand engagement to promote scientific inquiry. And Douglas 2006 stated that he explained that literacy is developed when students talk and write about their questions, explorations, plans, data, conclusions, and their reasons and judgments about relationships between evidence and explanations. Specifically in lessons 1 through 8, I have provided students with direct exposure to science investigations. I intentionally planned hands-on investigations to create handouts, and they had opportunity to talk and collaborate with their groups. Another major learning that I had that using these frameworks of the CEP model and the Marzano framework, these frameworks just indicate good teaching. So they include language objectives, they include things that are just components of a great lesson. And this is something that underachieving students significantly need alongside a supportive environment. Next, I want to discuss the application of the profession. So embedding literacy into the classroom is not going to just take me, but it's also going to take our community. For a while, the state has not put science in the front. Math and reading, and most schools, math and reading have always been the primary focus of instruction. If we do not take it upon ourselves to make science important in our school, in our classroom, and think about and go to professional development or search for curriculums like this, or use them as an example to plan our instruction, we are really doing the students a disservice. And the data is there. The data shows that these students are not doing well. And what we need to do is use this curriculum to increase science achievement in the state. How can this curriculum apply to the profession in other ways? So like previously said, this curriculum can be used in other schools, and it creates more literate students. So in the future, you're going to have students that are able to understand, analyze, and just better citizens of the world. On a positive note, the curriculum can be shared with my colleagues in the charter school. Administrators can record lessons of teachers implementing the curriculum and using an annual review or in professional development. But this capstone just is the starting point of trying to close the achievement gap. It will take much more efforts from our community to truly increase scientific literacy in our students. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. I really enjoyed it, and I hope that it impacts you in some way. Thank you.